All right, we here. This is another episode. This is your first episode, your introductory episode.
Yes. Tough Talks.
With Tilly and the Block.
Boom, baby.
It is what it is. Now, we have had to reformat our show in order to, allow for this time to highlight specifically that which is going on in sports entertainment.
Yes. Indeed.
And we are going to do so for the benefit of those who would like specifically to hear only about sports entertainment, as well as for those who would prefer to hear just the music. Now, I hear a lot of movement going on in the upstairs. That's what happens when, you practice real life.
Yeah, when you do your podcast from home.
You know what I mean? Home records.
Home records all day, baby. Tune gang.
Gang.
Sorry, this is the wrestling podcast.
Expose the North, but it is what it is. Well, I can expose the North.
Oh, yeah,
all day. All day. You know what I mean? The umbrella that covers a lot of things. The umbrella. So, Ella, A. So we're bringing to you what the latest of what's happening in NXT, WWE, and if we can get to it, NJPW and AEW.
AEW, yep, correct.
Yeah, correct. We might even throw some UFC in there, but it's the first episode.
I'm a huge UFC fan, so likelihood is I'll have to bring it up in some ways. And also UFC tends to cross over with WWE a lot now.
Especially, exactly.
Ronda, Brock, Matt Riddle.
Yeah, Ronda's husband.
Travis Brown.
I'm sorry, dude. Don't even
saving the day.
Don't even look at me sour for calling you Ronda's husband, son. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But also, let's start off by giving a big shout out to Travis Brown for the way he jumped in to protect Bret Hart and Natalia Hart.
Yeah, man. That was thuggish.
That was a beautiful thing. He was in there instantly when Homeboy hit the ring. And then he made sure that he got Bret and Natty into a corner away from the guys and blocked them so that nobody could get to them to make sure they were safe.
Yeah.
Good job, Travis Brown.
That was
good job,
solid.
Travis Brown. Also, good job to my boy Dash Wilder from The Revival for knocking him the fuck out.
Right out. KO. He went limp.
Fuck that guy.
He went limp.
We're
not even talking about him anymore. Let's talk about let's talk about the Hall of Fame ceremony where we got to see D-Generation X inducted, including China, into the Hall of Fame. Of course,
well deserved for all of them.
Shawn Michaels is now a two-time.
Yeah, he is
two-time Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Triple H. This will probably be the only time he goes into the Hall of Fame because I think he doesn't want to go in by himself. I think it's going to be very much like the Vince McMahon thing. Vince will never go in the Hall of Fame while he's still alive because he doesn't even want people mentioning his name during their Hall of Fame speeches.
I don't understand why you wouldn't want to say Vince McMahon.
Which is why a writer got fired.
Really?
Saturday night at the Hall of Fame, writer got fired
for writing that.
Not for the DX one.
Oh,
but for I can't remember who else. Somebody else brought up Vince. Brett brought up Vince, and apparently they felt it was the writer's fault for not giving him enough space and saying, no, don't say thank you to Vince and don't mention him because it's not about him. He doesn't want it about him.
Okay.
But, yeah, so WWE writer got apparently fired for that on Saturday night. But it was a pretty crazy weekend, so I think we can all see where maybe stuff got convoluted. But yeah, that was a great night. I thought it was way better than last year. Last year, I subjected myself to the entirety of the Hall of Fame ceremony, and they didn't have limits on how long people could give speeches for.
Is that the one where there was the longest? Oh my!
Hillbilly Jim. They even made a few jokes about it during this year's Hall of Fame ceremony, where Corey Graves said we had to do the ceremony here because Hillbilly Jim was still doing his speech in New York where they did it, or not New York, wherever they did it last year.
Oh man,
New Orleans,
yeah.
But yeah, so Hillbilly Jim took a couple verbal bumps during the Hall of Fame because I think Road Dogg also made fun of him because Road Dogg brought out that big stack of papers,
the manuscript,
and that was very much a dig at Hillbilly Jim's long speech.
Oh, Lee, I think I might have fallen asleep to it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
I watched the whole thing last year live, and it was painful.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched most of it live.
It was painful.
Wait, no, I think I was practicing with Death House last.
Yeah, it's just
shout out to Death House.
Shout out to Death House.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, the Hall of Fame show, I like it a lot. I hope they keep this format where they all go out into a ring, they give their speech, and then they fuck off.
Yep, yeah, that seems to
Bring
work.
him out at Mania. Get a cheap pop at Mania. Get the fans to get to see him and stuff like that. Always nice getting to see Tori Wilson. Even nicer seeing Stacy Keibler.
Haven't seen her in a while.
She did she gave Tori's induction speech.
Yeah.
And looked like she hadn't aged a day.
Really?
From when she left.
Hey,
it's been
right.
13 years since she left. It looks like she hadn't aged a day.
Wow.
Stunning. I used to like Tori better. Stacy has aged even better than Tori has, and Tori looks great.
Yeah, she does.
But Stacy's just a different level.
The dimples, though. My God.
Too cute. And one of the girls who really stepped up what it meant to be women in the WWE. She started she improved so much from being just the blonde girl who walked the Dudleys down to the ring.
Yeah.
She improved a lot, and she's well deserving. She should be in the Hall of Fame next year, I think.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, for sure. One thing we'll say right now too is sometimes we're gonna have guests come in, talk about wrestling with us. Our boy was supposed to come in for the show today, but unfortunately, life happens, things come up. But we'll be looking forward to having a guest pretty soon in the next couple weeks, I think.
Yes, sir. We'll have eventually. Who knows? We'll have local wrestlers in here.
That would be awesome. That's the goal.
That would be the goal.
Have some local wrestlers, referees, even just people who work in the industry,
ring managers,
locally. Anybody.
You know what I mean? Anybody who has a keen ear or eye for the sports entertainment brand.
100%. I have a few.
Already getting hit with YouTube copyright claims.
I already have. I've got a couple connections to people who are doing the indie scene around here and stuff. So we'll try to get them in as well, for sure. But then, so that was Saturday night. Was the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame on Saturday.
Now, normally on a Big Four pay-per-view, Saturday night is NXT TakeOver. This year, I don't know if last year they did TakeOver on the Friday as well, but this year I found out it was on the Friday about an hour and a half before it started.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Mauro Ranallo's Twitter, for telling me that it was not. Because we had some great matches on NXT TakeOver New York this year. The War Raiders versus Black and Ricochet for the NXT Tag Team titles. It was a phenomenal match. Ricochet has to be the MVP of that match just for the sheer severity of the bumps he took. He took a crazy flatback off of the top rope when he did the 640 splash, and he landed on nothing. Nobody was there. Just landed flat back on the mat, and that looked rough. There was also a scare that he might have been injured because of that.
Yeah, when you see these athletes, I'm going to call them athletes or superstars, engaged in these maneuvers or first of all, climbing is no easy feat. Climbing anything is no easy feat.
No.
All right, jumping is no easy feat. So to climb, to then jump
and do a 640-degree flip.
That is a high-risk maneuver.
Hugely high.
Very high-risk maneuver because when you're spinning in that air, you cannot see not a damn thing.
Nada.
It's not like a frog splash where you can see.
You kind of adjust midair.
You know what I mean? Kind of turn and land on one side or the other. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're spinning in the air, and if there's nothing there to catch you, Lord.
We all thought the Swanton Bomb was crazy in '98. They've stepped it up to a whole nother level.
Views.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
You know what I mean?
That is awesome.
But yeah, the Swanton Bomb's one thing, but even then you can look over your shoulder kind of one way or another.
We're at this level where all the people who, who we thought were crazy back then, they've inspired a whole nother group of even crazier people now to do insane shit. And so Ricochet is one of those guys who he's going to bring it every single time he comes in. He's going to knock it out of the park every single time. So.
Yeah, man. Ever since I've seen him, I've been impressed.
Yep. Yeah, since Lucha Underground, when I didn't even know it was Ricochet, when he was Prince Puma.
I didn't see him from then. I saw him in NXT.
Yeah, when he first started in NXT.
When I first saw him in NXT.
Yep, that's the same place I saw. We both were at the same show. That show in St. Kitts.
Yeah. Ironically
so
enough,
good, so good.
So tough. Like he came out and just like, okay,
killed it.
Who is this? I've never heard of this Ricochet. And then in my mind, I'm like, I studied physics. I know what the fuck a ricochet is. I know what happens when you see a ricochet. So is this dude gonna start bouncing off? This dude just started bouncing off of ropes and shit.
All day.
What the hell? Handspring over the ropes? What?
Over the corners, over everything.
Oh my goodness! Like.
So yeah, I mean that was just insane. So big ups to Ricochet, MVP.
Yeah.
Of potentially all of TakeOver just for those bumps, just mental. We had Velveteen Dream versus Matt Riddle.
Velveteen Dream, I see how it is. That's my opinion of it. Just, I don't know how to take him because he's eccentric.
Yeah, a little bit.
And he's flamboyant.
A little bit.
But he's technically
so good.
He's technically sound.
Well, the way I look at it is, look at Goldust.
Yeah,
when
that's
the Goldust
exactly what I think
started.
about. That is exactly who I think about.
Yeah.
When I see Velveteen Dream, but it's just like
he's like modern day Goldust mixed with Prince.
Booker T. He's like mixed with Booker T.
And Prince. Because his finisher is literally called the Purple Rainmaker.
The Purple Rainmaker, yeah.
Which is also a play off of Okada from New Japan, who does the Rainmaker clothesline as his finisher.
Uh-huh.
So they're having a little fun there, bringing up New Japan without actually bringing them up, right under Vince's nose.
Oh man.
Well, under Triple H's
nose. Yep. Oh.
But yeah, so that was a great match. I think the reason I wanted to bring that match up too is because I think it showed us not only is Matt Riddle money as a face, where he gets to be the chill guy and just hanging out and
is that the bro?
Carefree bro, yeah, it's the king of bros. He was also on The Ultimate Fighter and has one of the craziest knockouts in Ultimate Fighter history to this day. Like, he's no joke. He's a bad motherfucker. He can knock people out hard. But the other thing is, he is legit that chilled out. Like, the bro character that he's doing, it's not a character. That is who he is.
Really?
But I think what the cool thing that it showed is that he can work as a heel. Because there was a lot of times in this match where Ricochet would get, or not Ricochet, Velveteen Dream would get the upper hand. And when he would do that, you would see this fire in Matt Riddle's eyes of like, I have to pull out everything. I have to go at this guy. Okay, I have to take him out.
Yeah.
He came up short. Dream won, and he went right back to being chill. He gave him the bro fist, and then and left all happy. But he got real intense during the match, and I think that'll translate very well to a decent heel run in the fairly near future. And as always, Dream was amazing. I love Dream. I think the flamboyantness and the craziness that he does, I think all of it's awesome. I love when he gets brought out on stage like a old Roman leader on and has like women fanning him and stuff like that. I think that's hilarious. Man. He's genius. Because then the next week he'll come out to TakeOver and he'll have 4 shirtless, jacked dudes carrying him down to the ring, and it's like, which? It's just it constantly creates questions, constantly makes you think about what the hell is going on, and it's very, very intriguing. He's very good at what he does. We also had Walter versus Pete Dunne, which, as I showed you last week, Walter's chops are not to be fucked with.
No, he sent me. Yo, I'm sitting here and I'm talking to my dude online, and he's like, "Hold on, I'm gonna send you a picture." And he sends me a picture, and all I see is like this pink skin with like this red mark on there. And I'm like, what the you can see the man's handprint from the chops.
You can see the lines in his hands, the palm reader lines.
Stop
you can
it.
see them on Homeboy's chest because he slaps so hard.
Stop it.
He dethroned 600-plus day champion Pete Dunne of the UK NXT division. And that was a phenomenal match, great match. NXT UK is definitely worth watching. Now, we were talking about it upstairs. There is a lot of wrestling to watch. And sometimes it gets overbearing. What I do is I don't watch NXT for a month, and then I watch all of NXT. Because it's only an hour long. You can get it done in 4 hours. So, get it done. But definitely worth watching at least the highlights online with the UK division right now because they are firing on all cylinders. I'm thinking at Survivor Series, when they do the NXT TakeOver for Survivor Series, they should go a little bit like WWE does and do brand versus brand. Have the NXT UK champion versus the NXT heavyweight champion.
Okay.
Have the NXT tag team champions against the NXT UK champions. Just go all down the board, battle of the brands, NXT style. Do War Games. War Games is awesome. Do a War Games match between the two brands. That would
be intense.
Amazing. But definitely do that. And then the only other two things I wanted to bring up from NXT are Shayna Baszler is the shit. As you can see here, I literally written Shayna Baszler is the shit.
It's written in his
and
notes.
Nothing else. She had a fatal 4-way match with Kairi Sane, Bianca Belair, who is the EST, and Io Shirai, who's Kairi's tag partner and fellow crazy Japanese wrestler. She's amazing. They tore the house down. They had a great match. In the end, Shayna got Bianca Belair in a second finisher. I can't remember what her chokehold is called.
Oh my goodness. It's not the Coquina Clutch, but it might as well be.
That's what I keep calling it too. But it's very similar to the Coquina Clutch. The Shokina Clutch, we'll call it for right now.
Shokina Clutch.
But she caught her with that twice. The second time it was too much for Bianca to get past, and Shayna wins. Now, because of that booking, I think Bianca Belair is going to be champion within a year. I think they'll throw that on Bianca. They'll bring Shayna up to main roster, and hopefully we can get that the 4 horsewomen of MMA versus the 4 horsewomen of the WWE. If Sasha decides to stay with the company.
Which is it?
She's up in
well, Becky's calling
right
her out.
Becky is calling her out. She's trying to give her something to do.
Exactly, and I think that would be an interesting match, but I think
it would be. I also think that Sasha may need to, if the stories are true. I love Sasha Banks, so I don't want to say anything bad about Sasha Banks, overall. But if the stories coming out of Sportskeeda and Pro Wrestling Sheet's Ryan Satin over the past few days have been true, then I think Sasha might have some growing up to do, just a little bit. If you guys don't know what I mean, I'm not going to get into all of that here because it was a long, sort of weird thing and none of it's confirmed. But if you go to Sasha's Twitter, you can see what she posted about wanting to live in magic and make your own call from there because it's interesting.
Yeah, it had me kind of in a way just wondering. Like, I understand what she means, but it's not only magic. If it's only magic when you're experiencing the result, then that's
bullshit.
You know what I mean? Like,
and if you think that your life should just be living in magic all the time without having to struggle to get back to it and to get to things, maybe you're not ready to understand that yet because it's nobody's life is what they want it to be all the time.
The way I see it, it's like they should be happy that they were the first.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They will be forever be in history as the first.
Remember, they're in the books.
I do think they should have given them a longer title run.
So do I, but I also think Peyton and Billy are iconic.
Yeah, I don't. They are, but I think that was more because of the hidden agenda. You know, the hidden agenda.
Which one?
Well, I mean, there's different groups on the come up based on their stature, and I don't want to say, because of. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be the Graves right now. Fuck it. like they probably got it because of their status, their personal status. You know what I mean?
Well, what personal status? Peyton's husband just left the company.
Who? When?
Ty Dillinger.
Okay.
Peyton and Ty are, not married, but engaged to be married very soon.
Okay.
And he just left the company, so I don't think she I can't think of any extra stature she has, because she kind of... I mean, they've been treated like a joke for most of their time on the main roster.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They've come off as a joke. So how is it that now all of a sudden... Well, a lot of truth is said in jest, I guess.
Jinder Mahal. Do you remember Jinder Mahal becoming the World Heavyweight Champion?
Bro,
nowhere?
For
almost a fucking year?
I'm still lost about that, and it's 2 years later.
Let's talk about the fact that for 6 months leading into that fateful day where he became the fucking heavyweight champion, that he was a jobber. Glorified jobber. He lost every match. The Singh brothers would come out and get their asses whooped. Actually, no, they wouldn't, because the Singh brothers only showed up when he turned super heel and got his title shot. So...
He beat for the title again? Wasn't it
Randy.
Yeah.
Because Randy beat Bray, which was unforgivable. I was so mad that they put boring face Orton in the championship picture and took it off of Bray, who had been killing it. But, once again, Bray didn't quit, didn't go online and freak out about it. Or pitch a fit in the locker room on the ground. He put his head down and started working again. Try to get something crazy. Matt Hardy and him end up doing an amazing run together.
Tag team title run, yeah.
Tag team title run. And beyond the tag team title run, their feud with each other was awesome. When they did the ultimate deletion.
Yep.
It was awesome. All of it was cool.
Yeah, it worked.
So, you can... With the Jinder thing, I mean, it was annoying, but at the same time, that's... Peyton and Becky, they also beat Sasha on the SmackDown 2 weeks before WrestleMania. Yeah. So it wasn't like they hadn't shown that they could pull a devious victory out from under those guys. So I think it was set up pretty well, and I think it makes sense for them to win because they're just great.
I'm not saying this to disagree with you. I'm just saying this because it's my opinion.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think the titles, and maybe that's why it happened, because
having them handed around a lot. You mean,
it should.
Potatoed?
If you're going to establish a title, you have to give it some legitimacy. And you know what? Sasha Banks has and will continue, apparently, to lose the title at the first defense. Second defense. Okay.
They gave her one this time, but yeah, I mean, that was part of the whole thing with, not piggybacking, hot potatoing the title between her and Charlotte with the women's title for a while.
Yeah.
Every week it changed back and forth and back and forth. Now, I don't think, I just disagree that it weakens it, right? In my opinion, having the title change quickly once in a while is a good thing, because it shows it strengthens the whole roster rather than just one team. Because now Peyton and Billy, they could win at any time. They could win anything at any time. They could lose it at any time too, though, because they're chicken shit heels, which is just the beauty of wrestling.
The chicken shit heel took it from the brave face.
Ric Flair did that. Ric Flair was the biggest chicken shit heel of all time.
And he won the title 16 times, so...
16 times, baby.
Yeah.
And he also lost it 16 times to good faces. So there's a balance you have to strike. I think Peyton and Billy should hold it for a couple months, and then if they drop it, the people who beat them for it, right, should be strong faces. Maybe even Becky or Bayley and Sasha.
Okay.
And hold it for 6 months, 7 months, stuff like that. Now, one of the other things I've heard is that they were told they were going to be holding those belts for a little while, and that's why they're freaking out so much after losing it so quickly. Or that's why Sasha is. Bayley still showed up to Raw. But, we'll see. We'll have to see where this goes. Because that story, once again, it's all, right now, it's all just what people have said and what people have reached out to the dirt sheet writers to fill us all in for. So, we'll see. We'll see where this goes. I still love Sasha. Sasha is still the reason for my favorite chant in NXT history. Sasha's ratchet. No, she's not. Sasha's ratchet. No, she's not. This might even be a good way to turn her back ratchet. Get ratchet Sasha. Let's get ratchet Sasha.
She has been a face for a while.
Yeah, let's get ratchet Sasha again. And at WrestleMania next year, let's have ratchet Sasha come out to Snoop, to cousin Snoop. Her big cousin Snoop can come and wrap her down to the ring. It'd be dope.
Yeah, he did that a couple years ago.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Bring him back. He'll do it. Oop.
Okay.
Yep.
There we go. Yeah. So and maybe I think that's part of how she got into WWE in the first place.
It is.
Because old Snoop, he pulled his contacts and.
It is, and
hey, but that's what families should do.
No, 100%, 100%. But then let's not also, but then we also have to recognize that she had a little bit of a head start there, right, with the contacts. Whereas people like Becky and Bayley and
but
the Iconics.
I don't want to make it a cultural thing,
No.
and I'm not trying to make it such a thing, but for them to use their contacts and break into the industry the way they did is smart. And
it works.
It's like Paige. Paige had to fight her way through the whole thing.
I have no problem with it either. I just mean in a sense of when we talk because some of the stuff that I've seen online of the internet wrestling community, in reaction to the Sasha stories and them losing the title there and all that, a lot of people have come out and turned this into a thing of, well, the Iconics don't deserve it, or they haven't worked as hard as Sasha has, and I think that's a false narrative. I think that's blatantly false, because I think that both of them, or neither of them rather, had a famous cousin who could help them. And that, once again, it's not a bad thing to have a famous cousin who can help you. That's a beautiful thing.
That's what
that is a beautiful thing. That is, I in no way mean any of that to come off as a negative against Sasha. I mean it as a positive towards the Iconics, that they didn't have that, and they have still reached this plateau that they've reached where they're in a big match at WrestleMania winning the titles. And if you look at the faces of Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, when the ref hands them the belts, you can see the moment it becomes real to Peyton Royce. You can see the moment where she stops being the heel of the Iconics, right?
Yeah.
And just turns into who she is, turns into Peyton Royce, where she's shocked at this belt being put in her hand and is like, holy shit. I'm a WWE champion. And she's a young girl. It's impressive. And both of them are. I love Billie Kay too. I think Billie Kay is grossly underrated.
I guess I should give them credit because I could actually believe that their characters bother me.
Yeah.
So they're effectively conducting themselves.
Yeah, it's the same reason I like Baron Corbin.
I can't stand him.
Exactly, and you're not supposed to.
Can't stand him.
He's a heel, and he's a shitty heel, and that's why he's so good. It's the same reason we all loved The Rock when he was heel, because people booed the shit out of him. And then when they couldn't boo him anymore and they cheered him, that's when he went face. And I think that's appropriate. I think that's probably what will happen with the Iconics eventually. Like I think eventually they will be so over that they can't help but be cheered. Because even when they won, the pop in that stadium was huge. People were so happy for them. And it's because they don't know to boo the bad guys at sometimes. Because sometimes the emotion just gets a hold of you and you're like,
oh my goodness, they accomplished what they wanted.
They deserved it. Like, holy shit, they deserved it. Like, it's awesome. I love it. I love it. So, I mean, I think they'll do big things. But the last thing from NXT, because we got off on a thing there with them. Took a tangent. But the last match, main event of NXT, I told you on Facebook Messenger, I told you in private that if Dave Meltzer didn't give the main event of NXT TakeOver 5 stars, then it's rigged. The world, like, fuck him. He gave it a 5.5. He gave it over the scale. Like, because it was an incredible match. Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling, versus Adam Cole Bebe in a best 2 out of 3 falls match for Tommaso Ciampa's vacant NXT heavyweight title. Amazing match. Amazing climb to the top of the mountain by Gargano. Suffered the first fall, which in a 2 out of 3 falls match, as any commentator will tell you, the first fall is crucial. Because if you don't get the first fall, you got to get 2 in a row.
Yep.
And I'll be goddamned if Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Kick him in the ding ding, didn't get 2 falls in a row and become the NXT heavyweight champion. So, folks, we have it confirmed. Vince McMahon didn't want Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa. He wanted them both. Because Gargano is not going on to main roster now. And Tommaso Ciampa is out with neck injury for about a year. So Gargano is staying the mainstay on NXT. Johnny NXT.
So that means I'm right and Adam Cole's coming out.
Maybe. I think he actually might be the feud for Johnny right now.
Really?
Yeah, I think because this wasn't a thing where like they had their, they had a bunch of matches leading up to it and everything. This was a first match in a feud. It just happened to be made because Tommaso got injured, so they had to, pull an audible. And when they did, they pulled the right audible because they pulled Adam Cole Bebe. I would love to see him go to main roster. I think him, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and Roderick Strong.
Yeah.
I think the Undisputed Era is the best faction in wrestling right now.
I actually had to throw a line out to Roderick Strong in one of my tracks because of how tough he actually is.
He's a bad man.
I mean?
He's
New
good.
Song figured it out. Best to come out too strong, Roderick. Overloaded, too prong. You know what I mean?
He's amazing. He's a great wrestler. When they did the swerve with him, a year and a half, 2 years ago maybe, at the first TakeOver War Games. First time War Games have been brought back since WCW days.
Yeah.
And when they did that, and he turned on Pete Dunne, who is his tag team partner in the match, he turned on Pete Dunne and joined the Undisputed Era. It was official. The Undisputed Era was a done deal. Nobody was competing with them faction-wise. Because as a faction, who doesn't love them? And at the same time, who doesn't hate them? Because they pull the most heelish tactics out of the bag and kill it. In this match, they took out a referee, and all 3 of them started attacking and doing all of their finishers on Johnny Gargano in the middle of this 2 out of 3 falls match when they were tied at 1 apiece.
Oh, man.
That's the heelish shit ever. The crowd was booing so crazy. When 20 minutes earlier, and when Adam Cole came out, the whole crowd, you better believe they were yelling Bebe the second they said Adam Cole.
Yeah.
So, it's undeniable. They are
crowd,
so good.
I'm not even going to lie. Like, when I'm in the crowd, I'm on that same string sometimes, and it's just like...
I am too, but really only for good performers.
Yeah, I'm
like
not
for
like...
Kevin Owens, I will cheer when Kevin Owens is coming out. The second he starts shitting on the town that I'm in that he's talking to, it's Boo City. He's getting booed.
Yeah.
He's getting booed.
Yeah.
But we all love Kevin because Kevin Owens is the man, and he's awesome. But the big show this weekend, and not the wrestler of the big show, not Paul White, but the granddaddy of them all, WrestleMania, was this weekend. And it was WrestleMania 35, which is awesome. It seems so crazy that we're at 35, considering I remember watching WrestleMania 13 live and watching Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in an I Quit match. Jeez. Stone Cold with blood dripping down his face in the sharpshooter. And then the double turn. Bret Hart goes face, Stone Cold Steve Austin turns, or Bret Hart goes heel, Stone Cold Steve Austin turns into the biggest face of all time. And it's like, it's magic. I also remember watching 17 and 19 with Stone Cold versus The Rock and the My Way promo. Remember that old Limp Bizkit promo that they did, the video package to Rock and Austin? It's one of the greatest video packages of all time. But that is, we're now at 35 of these motherfuckers.
Yep.
Like, it's crazy. But we had, it was a good one. Like, this was one of the best Manias in a few years, I feel. In the pre-show, just like quick recap things. In the pre-show, Carmella won the Women's Battle Royal by hiding under the ring for the majority of it. And then when Sarah Logan had done all the work of eliminating all these women and was celebrating her victory, in comes Mella to spoil the surprise. Even though she's a face.
Mella is money.
All of the money. She's all of the money. Corey Graves, good job, buddy. Mella is money. All day. All day and all night. I love Carmella.
I don't know if I can give Corey Graves a good job, buddy, because, you know, it's like, that's a relationship that you're in.
But that was already, everything came out about that afterwards, where they were literally about to sign the divorce papers. He just was letting his soon-to-be ex-wife know that he was seeing someone, and that's when she posted all those things that she posted. So it seems like it seems like his marriage was a toxic relationship.
I don't know. I wasn't there for any of it. So.
For sure. But that's why I can't assume he did something wrong.
I don't know.
He's a heel, but
it's a tough subject. Let's just put it there.
Everyone seems to be standing by him, and the wife has not said a word since it all got exposed.
But did you see how he went back at her on Raw with some of the things that he was saying? Like, did you see? That was brutal. That's not just like, okay.
Have I told you Corey Graves is my spirit animal?
Corey Graves is a spirit animal,
I love Corey Graves. That man can talk.
He's a convincing.
He can talk. You know what else I noticed? And I'm not being mean saying this. It's just something I pointed out.
Okay.
Or something that I noticed. I usually forget because she's gorgeous. I usually forget. Carmella has a lazy eye, and when you look at her dead in the face, it becomes obvious. She's still gorgeous. Corey Graves has the same lazy eye as Carmella does.
No.
And I didn't notice until Raw when they did that cut where it went straight on to all three commentators for a minute, and they were just talking. I looked at... No, it was the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame when it was Renee and him hosting.
Yeah.
It cuts to Corey's face, and I was like, I never... Him and Carmella have the same lazy eyes as each other, and they found each other.
Ain't that something?
Love is real.
I mean, we have the same birthday, but you don't realize Shawn Michaels is a little cross-eyed, right?
Yeah, but you know why that happened. That was a big boot to the face that he took from Undertaker in 2006. He took a big boot to the side of the head from the Undertaker, and he connected too hard, and he's had a fucked up eye ever since.
Oh, sure.
That's why Triple H is making fun of him at the Hall of Fame during their induction speech. They're like, let's get our cheaters on, our glasses, and he goes and puts on the glasses that had one eye facing over here. Oh, poor bastard. Poor bastard.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Shawn also brought out the one to pretend to be Hunter with the giant nose.
Yeah.
So, Those guys are hilarious, and they know how to have fun.
Redundant?
Yeah. Yeah, he literally puts it on. He's like, does this even make sense? Like, but I loved their speech. I thought they were amazing. So Carmella, money, wins the Battle Royal. Other thing about the Women's Battle Royal.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who's bothered by that trophy?
What, the one that looks like a fallopian tube and ovaries?
Yeah.
The ovaries and
a vag.
The ovaries and the uterus?
Yeah, it's like
the uterus and the fallopian tube.
It's the V and then comes around like that. I'm shocked they've kept it 2 years in a row.
Well, I think once they designed it, they figured they have to go with it.
I mean, we've had 15 different world titles.
At least.
This is not as important as a world title.
Yes, it is.
And to be honest,
it's very important.
The women's title is as important as the men's title.
The women's title is important, but
the
women's Battle Royal
is as important as the Andre Battle Royal.
Which is supposed to establish the next incumbent.
But it also has an awesome trophy in the men's battle.
Because it's Andre the Giant. It's not like they're going to bronze China.
Bronze China.
I said it.
And call it the China Memorial Battle Royal.
Yeah, right. Let's bronze the porn star.
Do it. I mean, that was a sad time for her.
Yeah,
that's not... I mean, I don't think we hold that against her in
don't get me wrong.
post-mortem.
I don't hold it against her.
No, I know.
What you gotta
but
do.
I don't think they should, especially now. But that's why they didn't put her in the... That's why they weren't putting her in their Hall of Fame.
She's there now.
And now she is.
But,
so let's make the China Battle Royal. That's even what X-Pac said during the Hall of Fame speech. And then again on his radio show. The fans all agree.
Yeah.
I think it should happen. I don't think it will. I think it's for the reason that you say as well. I agree with you. I agree with you. But I'm not arguing with you. I'm arguing with Vince.
So am I. I'm just
wrong,
my petition is with the WWE with the WWE board of directors as well.
I think they should forget that stuff
no
and
other woman
put her
who
forward.
Would emulate what is like. Don't get me wrong. Plenty of other women emulate womanhood.
Yeah.
Manhood, womanhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. But China would emulate what would be the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
Like
the baddest bitch on the planet. The ninth wonder of the world.
The ninth wonder of the world. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? She was definitely...
She was wonderful.
She was crazy good.
Crazy good. Her feud with Chris Jericho for the Intercontinental title. Give me that again.
Didn't she have a feud with, like, a few other people? Like, the Hardys
Yeah,
or something like that?
She feuded with tons of guys. She beat the shit out of dudes.
Yeah, man.
She was Triple H's
heavy.
She was his protection.
Mm-hmm.
And then he left her for Steph.
Yeah.
That didn't go over well.
Whew.
But then she went to Xbox, so.
Yeah.
Tomato.
Tommaso?
Ciampa! Speaking of which, after Gargano won that match, Ciampa came out and broke kayfabe for the first time in a year, which was kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Because he's been the most kayfabe wrestler ever, because he just constantly is going online and shitting on people. He refused to be put into the 2K19 video game because that would make people like him, and he fucking just would say... he said he would say, no, I don't want to be in that fucking game on Twitter and everything, and so they didn't put him in.
Wow.
Like, he's genius. Men's Battle Royal, Andre Battle Royal. How scared were you that they were actually going to let one of those fucking SNL guys win that fucking...
Yo, let me tell you how when I saw them come out, when I saw them run under the thing, I was like, someone's going to find them.
I was so mad.
When I saw them come out, I'm like, no, they're not going to topple
And then
Braun
they grabbed
over.
Braun's legs and were lifting him with the Hardys. I said, nope.
I said it couldn't be.
I was screaming at the TV.
It would have been David Arquette all over again, I'm telling you.
It would have been. It wouldn't have... I don't think it would have been quite as bad. I don't think it would have been company ending. But it would have been... but it would have been maybe Andre the Giant memory smearing.
Yeah.
Like that wouldn't have been great. But I do appreciate that they took bumps. I liked when Michael Che tried to just pussy out, looked at Braun and just goes, tries to get out and Braun just grabs him and throws him.
Yep.
For a second I was scared. When he threw Homeboy over the ring, I was like, he's not ready for that bump. And then he landed into the group of wrestlers. I was like, okay. Although MGK went through a table off of the stage.
Yeah, but MGK...
Kevin Owens powerbombed him through a table.
Yeah, but he deserved it.
He definitely deserved it. I hate MGK. But he deserved it big time.
Like, I don't understand how you're trying to be a pretty boy and a thug, motherfucker. Like, pick one.
How you going to name yourself after a damn gun and have a man bun?
You know what I mean?
The immortal words of Eminem.
Don't try to call it a top knot because you get your top shot. You know what I mean? It's just, no.
Yeah, it's unreal. But Braun won.
Braun
won! And he, as he should, because if anyone's embodying Andre right now,
it's Braun.
It's Braun. Big, mean motherfucker.
We got 45 minutes into the podcast, and we have Tilly and the Block, and these are the Tough Talks.
Fuck yeah.
All right.
So, let's go to the main card. Or, well, actually, one last final horrific thing from the pre-show. The top guys are no longer the Raw Tag Team Champions.
Oh, my goodness.
I messaged you right away when that happened.
Yeah.
I said WrestleMania's canceled. I'm done.
He was not having it.
I was not having it. I had to leave the room. I had to go have a smoke, have a couple shots. That was sad for me.
Okay.
That was really sad for me. I wanted to go to the locker room and lie down whining with Sasha, but about the revival. So here's the thing. I love Kurt Hawkins. I almost said I love Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. I like Zack Ryder. I think he's good. I love Kurt Hawkins. I think his losing streak was genius. I think the amount that he put into that was genius. Like, he threw himself behind that losing streak and was very proud of it and just very proud to be there.
Yeah.
I still think the more interesting way to have him lose that streak would have been for them to lose at Mania. Ryder blames Hawkins, beats the shit out of Hawkins. Then at Payback or Money in the Bank, Hawkins beats Ryder. First win, very emotional, all that stuff. But they won, and as we will find out shortly, they are still. After Hawkins and Ryder, I just wrote this down, but I guess this should have actually been in the other thing. The Andre the Giant Battle Royal. You know what my biggest takeaway from that was?
What?
Braun Strowman's fucking jacked.
Yeah.
Like, he's way more shredded than he was 3 weeks before Mania. He got into that fucking Mania shape. Because, like, did you see his abs?
Yeah, and he doesn't usually have abs.
He was shredded to the gills. It was insane.
He used to cut the carbs. I need to cut the carbs, yo.
Yeah, I've been eating too much spaghetti.
I've been doing that Aquafit, you know what I mean? I've been up in the gym a couple of times. I played basketball, and I still got this fucking...
It's hard.
Still,
it's all diet. From what everyone says, it's 90% diet,
90%
and like
diet,
5% working out.
Well, carbs, cheese, and bacon.
I gotta switch this shit up.
I got carbs, cheese, and bacon. Those are three things I need to cut out.
Yeah.
And bacon is going nowhere, motherfucker. Yeah. So exercise has gotta be.
Yeah, I'm keeping bacon and I'm keeping red meat, but I think I'm gonna get rid of pasta after I finish all the spaghetti sauce I made.
Okay. Oh man.
But yeah, so Braun's fucking shredded. That's awesome. First match of the main card of WrestleMania. This is the second year Seth Rollins has been the first match on the card. You know that? Last year he won the Intercontinental title in the first match of Mania. This year he won the Universal title at the first match of Mania.
Oh shit!
So he's on a streak. Also, not just a streak of winning the first match of Mania. I want you to keep this in mind. Seth Rollins is undefeated at Mania so far.
Really?
5 Manias. All wins.
So, okay. I smell what you're cooking.
So who do you think should face Undertaker next year?
Oh, man. Streak versus streak.
Well, streak's dead. One streak's dead.
Streak versus title.
Yeah. I also think it's kind of cool that the person that made him 5-0 or 4-0, one of the two, at WrestleMania was Brock Lesnar. Yeah. Actually, twice. He's beat Brock Lesnar twice at WrestleMania.
For the title.
Because for once for the heavyweight title when he cashed in his Money in the Bank as a heel on Roman Reigns and Brock during their match.
Yeah.
And he curb stomped Roman and pinned him for the title, so he beat Brock there, technically. Mm-hmm. And he just won the Universal title by basically squashing Brock. It was the craziest squash match I've ever seen, though. It very, very much stretches the definition of a squash match, because usually a squash match means under 10 minutes, usually under 5, and only one opponent gets any offense in. In this one, Brock kicked the living shit out of Seth for like 10 minutes, got him in the ring finally, the bell rang, and then Seth hit him in the balls and curb stomped him 3 times in a row and pinned him.
Pause. This is where I say I am part of the reason Brock Lesnar keeps getting hit in the nuts. I'm sorry, Brock. I didn't think Vince was going to take me so seriously when I said it.
Brock, you can take those dick shots. You work 5 times a year.
You know what I mean? But no, seriously, I sent a tweet.
I will go heel on Brock.
I tagged people in that tweet. I was talking shit to Paul Heyman online. I was trolling Heyman online. And Heyman was talking that shit. And then I'm just like, okay, buddy, you know, I'm no prize fighter, but every man drops the hit to the right spot. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And, I'm telling
Boom.
you. Taker did it. Didn't Taker do it like 3 times?
Still lost, but yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, I'm sorry. I'm not going to take full responsibility. The writers actually put it into the script, so you can start with them.
Yeah. But they can thank me. So that was a great match. It was quick. It was unexpected to be the first match. When fucking Paul Heyman cut through Alexa Bliss and He Who Shall Not Be Named to get down to the ring, I was like, what's Paul doing here?
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Did he just walk past He Who Shall Not Be Named and Alexa Bliss? And then I was like, is this first? And then he literally says, if my client is not last on the card, then we're going to be getting out of here as quickly as we can. Start the match. Okay, Paul. That's great. That was awesome.
Okay.
That was really cool. Then we had AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. They had some of the best promos leading up to their match, had the crowd super involved. Because the crowd at SmackDown last week, before Mania, when AJ dropped I was doing high school gyms while you were here in the WWE, failing drug tests on Randy, that crowd was in. That crowd was in. They're sold on it immediately. There was a problem, unfortunately, during their match, where that didn't allow the crowd to get as into it as they should have. There was a technical difficulty where there was lights above the ring that were very bright, and something fucked up, and they got turned on during the match, when it started, and basically was blinding like a third of the crowd during that match, so they couldn't even see the ring because the lights were so bright and coming from the ring that you couldn't see what was going on inside. So the crowd was booing and then started cheering, and it seemed weird that the crowd was cheering when Randy was kicking the shit out of AJ because he's the heel, but the reason was because they were cheering that the lights got shut off, and it really screwed up the mood of the match. It really is one of those things that shows you how crucial the relationship between the performer and the crowd is, because they feed off of each other's energy, and if the crowd can't see what the wrestler's doing, they can't give them energy, and then that energy does not get fed into the wrestlers. So very sad that they didn't get to see much of that, because it was a great match. Randy is great. AJ is also great. AJ is currently out with an injury for a few weeks. AJ has a can't remember what it is. I was going to say ankle injury, but I think Rey Mysterio has the ankle injury, and AJ has something with his quad, maybe. Okay. But it's not a heavy injury. It's light. He'll be back. Then we had the SmackDown Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way match. I don't think... So it was a great match. I don't think there's too much to say about that, at least from my side. I'm happy the Usos won that. It was a crazy match.
It was intense.
There was a lot of stuff going on in that match.
Corner craziness.
there was a couple times where I had to call the ref out for not understanding the rules of tag team wrestling because
it's his hip.
Two people. What?
It's his hip. AJ Styles.
Oh, it's his hip injury. Okay, not quad. But the referee seemed to forget how tag team matches work at points where I don't think they remembered that you can't have both people of your tag team lying on one person usually. Yeah. Because that's not a pinfall anymore. I mean, to be fair, one of the matches I'll never forget in my life is Stone Cold versus The Undertaker versus Kane. Triple threat for the World Heavyweight title. Kane and Undertaker both laid down on Austin and pinned him, and therefore neither of them was the champion.
Yep.
But it seemed strange where you had two...
So wait, did Stone Cold keep the title then?
No. They ended up having... That's when they had a match... Vince set up a match between Undertaker and Kane for the title at the next pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And made Stone Cold Steve Austin the special guest referee and told him if he doesn't count the 1, 2, 3 for one of those men, he'll be fired. Stone Cold stunnered both of them, counted a 3 count on both of them for himself, declared himself the champion, and Vince fired him. And you may remember the most famous part of that storyline was Stone Cold attacking Vince in his wheelchair.
Okay.
Stone Cold attacking Vince in the hospital.
Yeah. Bung!
And even better, Paige and Dr. Austin, code 316. And the best part of that, well, actually, the two best parts of that are, A, that is why we have Mr. Sacco, because Mick Foley came up with Mr. Sacco because he was the corporate stooge at that point. Yeah. And he was visiting McMahon in the hospital, and he was trying to cheer him up and the thing, and he made Mr. Sacco. And then Austin attacked him. But the best part was when Vince came back and was in the wheelchair. Austin grabbed him and kidnapped him with a gun to his head.
Yeah.
Carried him around the thing, brought him in the ring. Vince pissed himself, apologized, and then Austin pulled the trigger and it said bang. 316.
Yep.
So memorable. So, to be fair, one of the most memorable storylines in WWF history for me relies on a ref not following the rules to a match, even though it was a special guest referee, which is a little more acceptable. But, still, I just think it's weird when a referee tries to call a rope break during a no disqualification match or tries to count someone down with 2 people pinning him. I'm like, why? That doesn't make sense. Tell them to get off.
You know what I mean?
It's just, it's weird. But to be fair, they also have an earpiece in, so Vince told him what to do, and he did what Vince told him. So I'm not going to argue with Vince. Vince will kill me. See those pythons?
Vince could probably bench press me.
See those pythons?
I don't want to play with
Vince is jacked.
Could you imagine an argument in the McMahon or Helmsley household?
No, because I can't imagine arguing with a McMahon. Doesn't make sense to me. That seems
I can
like
imagine
a death
arguing with one, and I'm saying that because I'd like to see if it's a possibility. I have a very valid argument. This title right here, and y'all can't see it y'all can't see it, but I have this title belt, and I have this beautiful belt that I designed, and I put on it, I have basically plates. I have metal plates on it, and those metal plates have screws in them. Those metal plates with those screws in them was shown to a WWE wrestler. Rikishi, you know what I mean? Father of the Usos.
Quiche.
Who signed this belt for me and then ended up in the WWE Hall of Fame. This belt right here is some good juju. This belt?
One hundo.
One hundo is some good juju.
Hundo.
But the plates on the titles changed shortly after the signature on the belt was placed. So I'm just saying, you could have hooked the brother up with a couple $100,000. You know what I mean?
Or at least one of the fucking imitation belts.
At least. Bare minimum. You know what I mean?
$2,000, eh?
I have the prototype.
Yeah.
$2,000?
For the one that looks like the screen worn ones?
Yeah.
It's $2,000.
Jeez, I have to say that much?
For the Universal or the Heavyweight, yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
Good.
I was looking at them last week because I was trying to explain to my buddy how expensive that shit is.
Good grief.
Because I still want my IC title.
Yo, I'm gonna get a title, and that's the title that I'm gonna use to get it.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the show because
just hit somebody with it and fucking take one of their titles.
Yo, you don't want to get. Have you felt this?
Yeah, it's heavy as fuck.
You don't want to get
heavy as fuck.
that.
So, next, Well, let's maintain. Usos won that match. They killed it.
Yeah.
Shane versus The Miz. Now, when I watched this match, it was, first of all, holy fuck. This was a crazy match. The bumps. The fucking bumps were crazy.
Yo, the way it ended?
The way it ended was insane. And we will get to that. What surprises me is when I went back to rewatch this yesterday, trying to get ready for the show, I went and rewatched this match again yesterday. This match is short as fuck.
Really?
It felt long, didn't it?
Yes.
It's short as shit.
It was less than 10 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought so.
Less than 10. And they managed to beat each other up in the ring, beat each other through the crowd, have Miz's dad try to get involved, beat each other through the crowd some more, and then do a suplex off a 15-foot fucking scaffolding. A suplex. A standard suplex.
Well, technically it was a hyperplex.
Well, yeah, okay. Yes, in the sense of like a superplex thing.
Yeah.
But I mean in the sense that a superplex is still a standard suplex. Like it's a vertical suplex. It's not like doing a super German suplex or something like that, right? He did a standard suplex, which lifts him an extra 6 feet off the air because the Miz is 6 feet tall. So lifts him up, and then there's Shane, an extra 6 feet up, and then falling backwards.
Yep.
Then dropping 15 feet down and landing on each other in that fucking boxing. Great showing by The Miz.
Yep.
I was very interested to see what The Miz did with a Falls Count Anywhere style match. We got a little clip of it 2 weeks ago, but like it was one of those things where I've never seen Miz have to be gangster. So to see him go so gangster was awesome.
Yeah, that was a shock.
He went super gangster, and it was dope. It was really, really, really good shit. Great job to both The Miz and Shane. That match was fantastic. Some might say that match was iconic. But I would say that the next match was iconic. Iconic. The Iconics win the WWE Women's Tag Team titles off of an amazing performance by Beth Phoenix and Natalya, an amazing performance by Sasha Banks and Bayley, an amazing performance by who else was in that match?
Nia Jax and Tamina.
Nia Jax and Tamina. Great performance by Nia Jax. Nia Jax, get better soon. We were talking about it off the air. Nia Jax has two torn ACLs that she needs surgery for. She's going to be out for 9 months to a year.
Yes. Watch her come back in like 7.
Pull a John Cena, pull a Super Cena.
You know what I mean?
Show up at the 6 months later.
Yeah.
That'd be gangster. I hope for it because I love Nia. I like Nia. I think she's severely underrated. She does have quite a few botches where she has actually injured other girls, and that's not a great thing. But it's wrestling.
Breaker.
It's wrestling. Shit happens. You're not out there playing cards. You're gonna get hurt a little bit.
She goes, "You're not out there playing cards."
That's what it is.
It's true.
That's what it is. You're not playing cards. You're gonna get hurt. And shit happens. So, I think she's fantastic. I think she's doing very, very well.
Yep.
And she's only getting better. Plus, she's Anoa'i. Like, she's of the Anoa'i family.
Mm-hmm.
So she's Roman, Rock, and the Usos' cousin. And she's fantastic. So I think she'll come back. She'll do really, really good things. I fear what this means for Tamina, to be honest.
Because, Tamina came back in, and I hope they
Tamina
used her more effectively.
Tamina was immediately thrown into tag team, because she was with the company for years still. They just had nothing for her to do. And then they teamed her as the Super Samoans with Nia. Now Nia's gone. I don't know what they do with Tamina, because Tamina's mic work is not good. Like, I'll just say it. Her mic work is not good, especially for someone related to Jimmy Snuka.
The offspring.
Yeah.
The
direct descendant. She's not great on the mic. She's really good in the ring. Her frog splash can be very, convincing and very good. Sometimes she kind of just topples off. But I'm just interested to see what they do with her. Because I don't know if this means that she's going to be off TV again for 9 months until Nia's back. Or if they're going to try to push her as a heel of her own merit. So we'll see where that goes. But the Iconics did win. They won from Beth doing a super glam slam off the top rope on Bayley. Bayley sold it like $1 million. She looked like she was legitimately unconscious. Peyton came in and threw Beth out of the ring. Billie Kay jumped on top of Bayley. 1, 2, 3. And the tag team titles have become iconic. So they're great. Kofi Mania versus Daniel Bryan.
Kofi Mania!
Kofi.
MF Kingston. In the building. Yo!
Like, come on, son. Kofi killed it. Daniel killed it. Kofi Kingston is the first person in several months, I would say 7 or 8 months probably, to kick out of the knee plus. Like that flying knee that Daniel does.
The knee plus?
That's what it's called, the knee plus.
Knee plus.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. It sounds modern.
Right? It also sounds like B plus player.
Oh, the knee plus. Oh, no.
So he hit him with the knee plus, and Kofi kicked out at 2 like a bad motherfucker. He also then went... he almost hulked up. Like, he started doing the shaking and like, no, bring it, motherfucker, bring it. And then he hit that beautiful, so perfect Trouble in Paradise.
Clapped him.
Connected right to the side of the head. And 1, 2, 3. Goodbye hemp belt. And new
day.
Yeah, and New Day, but also and new WWE World Heavyweight Champion Kofi Kingston.
Yeah,
what a beautiful day.
It was such a wonderful.
How could you not? I was so happy. I was ear to ear.
The second man of color to hold a World Heavyweight title.
First black man.
First, because the first one was
Rock Samoan.
He's Samoan. He's
Samoan. He's not black.
That's not black.
It's not the same thing. It's a person of color. 100%.
That's what I said. A person of color.
Yeah, 100%.
That's why I said.
But there's an argument online though. There's an argument online saying that The Rock was the first black WWE champion, and I'm like, I've never once considered him black.
He's the first person of color.
Like, I've never exactly.
Samoan is not.
You're not
Samoan
black.
is well tanned.
Yeah, very well tanned.
Very well tanned.
But
to the point of looking.
Yeah.
But no, sorry, we've had this conversation.
Yeah, Kofi is the first black WWE champion of all time.
From Ghana. That's black.
You
can't get much blacker than Ghana. You can't. I'm sorry. Like, you'd have to go to, like, Congo. Yeah. Congo's the only...
Congo's blacker.
Congo's blacker.
Congo's blacker.
But I'm telling you...
It's all that obsidian.
Obsidian. Oh, shit. What was that thing? Vibranium.
Yeah, vibranium. From fucking Black Panther. Wakanda. Wakanda forever!
Wakanda forever!
But yeah, I cried. I'm not going to lie. I was actually crying. When Kofi won, I cried. I was so happy for him.
I was loud.
I was loud too. The first thing I did was scream and cheer.
Get this, my daughter wants me to bring my trumpet to the next WWE event we go to. That's exactly why she wants me to bring it. Just like, oh my god, would that not be the greatest thing ever? But like, I'd have to find my way down to the $6,000 seats because Lord knows
you just wait outside at the wrestler's entrance before the show. That's how most people get autographs.
Okay.
If you go to like the artist, employee, athlete entrance of the stadiums, they get there 4 or 5 hours before the show starts. And they have like barricades set up where you can sit there, and they'll walk by and come up, sign stuff, talk to people and shit like that.
Is that where we're going?
Becky does it all the time. Yeah.
Is that where we're going before the show? Is that what you said? Okay.
I've seen Becky doing it a few times.
We will be live on location for. Can I say SmackDown? Are you good for SmackDown?
I'm good for SmackDown.
Okay, so we're gonna be live on location for SmackDown.
SmackDown, baby.
Like, it's gonna be. I might do it.
We can get them to do a couple drops for us to see if they can say tough talks with Teely on the block.
Do you see it? I'm telling you, like.
This is the man.
This is
the man. And you're listening to Tough Talks with Teely and the Block.
I'm telling you, if we get that, like, we're gonna have to have multiple microphones. The sound bites. Yep. I'm telling you, we're gonna have to get that.
That'll be the new intro to the show. But yeah, no, the first thing I did was I screamed.
Yeah.
I screamed.
Yeah.
Extremely loud. Extremely
like
loud.
On the 3? Was it on the 3 count? Yes.
The second it hit 3, I was screaming the 3 count. He hit the Trouble in Paradise. I was like, 1, 2, 3, yeah! Like scream.
Yeah.
Little girl.
Like, yo, I didn't even care. And they were like, ah, come back!
I screamed, and then it kicked in, and Xavier and Big E grabbed the real WWE title, got rid of that fucking hemp belt, which I still love, but got rid of that fucking hemp belt, and I cried. I started crying. I saw the look on Woods' face. Woods was doing everything in his power not to bawl his eyes out. If you see the pictures of any of that, he is on the verge of tears, and I am not as strong as Xavier Woods, so I broke down. I
felt it welling. I'm not gonna lie. I felt it welling.
I literally left the room.
I'm just like,
yeah.
I think I caught it, and like I just kind of.
I couldn't catch it. I had to leave the room, and I was like, I'm going out for a smoke. I went out for a smoke. I had to not be next to my roommate. I couldn't let him see me crying over wrestling, but it had to. It's a journey, man. It's 11 years in the company. It's a beautiful story they told. It's the deepest story they've told in WWE, maybe ever, but for a long fucking time.
They told a multitude of stories. Layered. Yeah. They talked about the
racism,
whole corporate.
They talked about
the corporate agenda.
Agendas.
Yeah, you're right. Racism, prejudice,
underachievement.
The financial position.
Self-doubt.
Like self-deprecation.
Yep. The stakes always being stacked against you
Status
over and
quo.
over again, never being able to get over it. It's just, it was insane. It was, I'm not ashamed to admit it. I cried during that. I cried at that.
Ain't nothing
for sure.
wrong with that.
It was beautiful. The next thing, what was right after that? Right after that was, so this one I've kind of broken this down into two. I feel like Kofi versus Daniel and Kofi winning like that, I feel like it should have been later in the show, maybe, because I think it kind of drained the crowd emotionally.
It was a lot of ups and downs.
It was so, because after that match was Joe versus Ray, which didn't have a chance to grab the crowd because of Ray's injury, and then after that was Roman versus Drew, which, while on paper could be an amazing match every week, it was average on this match. But I think it was average because people were tired. They're 6 hours into a show at that point, you know? And on WrestleMania weekend, 6 hours is a lot. But Roman won. Roman won. That was nice.
They drummed him out to that. That was something that
they had the police. Yeah, they had the police, New York police band do it. That was cool. That was really cool.
That was serious, man.
Really that. That was really awesome. People. Yeah. It was great. That was awesome. But it didn't have the time to grab everyone. After that, this grabbed everyone. Triple H and Batista put on a fucking barn burner.
I walk for miles inside this bit of danger. I walk alone. Oh, man.
That video I sent to you of Breezy and Xavier Woods watching them do the play out and him practicing his entrance. They are us.
Yes, they are us. We just did it.
They are that. Anytime you hear that song, how could you not scream those lyrics? It's so good. I just set up a playlist for going to the gym and going on like walks with and shit, and it's all wrestling themes.
Okay.
The first track had to be DX because Are You Ready? That's a startup track if anything's ever been a startup track.
Yeah.
Second track had to be Stone Cold because I need that glass break in my life.
Yeah, break the glass ceiling.
Yeah, but
we have a glass ceiling too, motherfuckers.
Yep.
We have ceilings that we got to deal with as well, individuals. So I'm just saying that's why the Stone Cold works.
Yeah, and then right after that goes Batista. It goes right into Batista.
Yep.
And then Triple H. But Batista his theme's amazing. His entrance was awesome with all those security guards and the being let out of the car and just freaking exploding out in his tights and everything. He wasn't even wearing anything else. It was killer. He killed it. Triple H's entrance was very Mad Max inspired.
Yes.
Fury Road style, and that was awesome. I thought his little mask thing looked dope. That was cool as fuck too. Match was phenomenal. Dave can still take a bump. That man can still take a hell of a bump, and he can put on a hell of a match.
I wonder if he does any of his own stunts.
I'm sure he does. Any ones that they'll let him.
Probably the fighting ones for sure.
Yeah. No, definitely those. They even train just actors who have no fighting experience in that, so he's got to have that. And he kills it. He lost. He also the next day announced his retirement officially. So he is done. I'm glad he got to come back for one final program with Hunter. That's what he's wanted for years. They gave him what he wanted. To quote the big man himself, give me what I want. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Big Dave, final match ever, which is beautiful. What did you think that was how it was going to go? That Batista was basically going to be done after one, or did you think he might come back for another?
I thought they were going to stretch it out a little bit, but I did get the feeling that Triple H was going to beat him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to, because he's never beaten him before, so you got to do that. After that, we had another retirement match. Although this one we knew was a retirement match. And it was Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle. No Undertaker, unfortunately. Yet. Baron... Kurt got a couple pieces of offense in. Baron mostly kicked the shit out of him for the whole time. He hit him with a deep six in that beautiful End of Days. Baron's got great finishers. Baron's finisher moves, the End of Days and the deep six, whoo, those are beautiful moves. Because if a person is taking them that can sell, they look badass, like just so badass. But yeah, that was the end of Kurt's in-ring career. Thank you, Kurt. Basically, thank you, Kurt, because that was he went through so much in his career to get to where he was, and he deserves every bit of adulation that he can possibly get. Then we had Demon Finn, which we called, versus Bobby Lashley, and Demon Finn, of course, won. This match was 5 minutes.
Wow.
This match was 5 minutes long. One thing that I've kind of had a little complaint about with Demon Balor in the past is that Demon Balor doesn't do different moves than regular Finn Balor. He still sets up the coup de grace with the drop kick into the corner. He still does everything he normally does.
But it's a demonic version of the person.
Right. You would think there'd be something a little bit different like that, because otherwise, right? But otherwise, for kayfabe, right? For logic, in ring, why is he all of a sudden so much? Or why is just putting that face paint on helping when he doesn't wrestle any differently than he did before? Like, it's not like it gives him any extra power. However, at WrestleMania they fixed that, because I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember how he set up the coup de grace this time?
No.
Finn Balor, little Finn Balor, fucking powerbombed Bobby Lashley on his own strength.
Yeah.
Son.
Yeah, I remember that. I was looking at it like, that's Bobby Lashley.
Finn is shorter than me.
Finn is like 5 foot.
I think it was 7 or 8. 5 foot 7 or 8. I'm 5'11".
Bobby Lashley's 6'3".
And Finn powerbombed him.
240 something.
Lifted him onto his shoulders and powerbombed him of his own weight. No help. Nothing. None of this shit where he slipped underneath him while he was already up on the turnbuckles and powerbombed him. He fucking powerbombed him. That's insane.
Straight powerbombed him.
That is something that normal Finn cannot do, but Demon Finn can do. And for kayfabe, that makes me a happy panda.
Happy panda.
Because it's logic, and I like not logic. It's supernatural logic, but I like it. Like, it works. And then we had the main event. Becky 2 belts, baby.
Becky 2 belts.
Becky 2 belts.
Becky 2 belts. She got 2 belts.
Becky versus Ronda versus Charlotte. Charlotte and Ronda put on a great show as well. But god damn it if Becky didn't steal the show 100%. Joan Jett performed live, did Bad Reputation, did it very well. Yeah. And I'll say this, Joan Jett is a 60-something-year-old woman. She looks pretty goddamn good still. Yeah. She still looks like Joan Jett. And that's goddamn impressive.
She's 60-something? She didn't look like she was in her 30s.
Son. Joan Jett is definitely like
I'm not doubting you.
I know. I need to know the number now because I'm torn between 60 and 67. But she is insanely.
We saw her perform. We saw her perform. I don't mind taking over while you search that up. And like, I saw her perform. I'm looking at her. I'm like, okay, like she was rocking the whole stage, and I'm just like, Hit
the key change perfect.
You know what I mean?
She was rocking on the guitar as well.
Killing it. Like
60 years old. She is 60.
60 years old. Well, go girl.
Yeah, go girl. Joan Jett, you are a killer still, and I love you. I've always loved you.
Yep, Jenny just confirmed 60.
Yeah, 60 years old, killing it. Yeah. And we had a Hall of Fame band up on the WrestleMania stage for the main event. That was fantastic. But yeah, so Becky, the whole thing, they were very obviously teasing a armbar versus figure 8 submission battle.
Armbar versus armbar.
They were all going after each other. All going after each other hard. There was a table got brought in. Yep. Becky went out and got a table. Ronda had some choice words for people who enjoy tables. She picked it up, threw it, and said, was about to throw it. Said, "You like tables? You want tables?" To the crowd, and the crowd goes, "Yeah, fuck yeah!" And she goes, "Tables are for bitches. That's why," and throws the table. Genius. Genius work, Ronnie.
Genius move.
Also, genius work by my girl Becky Lynch. I have to give her one more props for besides the finish. At one point, she kicked Charlotte and Ronda in the face, and when she did it, she brought back my favorite line of all time: "Kiss my foot, you little weirdo! Kiss my foot, you little weirdo!"
Oh, yeah,
I love that line. I think that's genius. And then, in a very surprising finish, the way the finish happened felt like it came right out of nowhere. Becky is about to be hit with the Piper's Pit by Ronda. She reverses it midair, turns it into a crucifix roll-up. 1, 2, 3. Becky Lynch is your Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. Becky 2 belts. The man.
Becky 2 belts. Becky 2 belts.
Woo! Screw the woo. Not really. I love the woo. But that brought us into, and I think these ones are actually going to go pretty quick because Raw and SmackDown, as much as they had in them, were quick. They flew by. We started the night with Seth Rollins coming out, telling everybody how good it felt to slay the beasts, and how he is bringing that championship back where it belongs, which is Monday nights. No more having to wait for one Sunday a month. That is the Monday night title. So good for Seth on that. And Kofi came out, to everyone's surprise, I think. Because I got a message from you, and I got a message from my boy James Townsend. Okay. Shout out to James Townsend. He might be listening today. He's going to be coming in a couple weeks.
All right.
Both of you sent me messages saying, Raw's not fucking around. And I hadn't watched yet because the stream the week before had not been the best, and I wanted a seamless experience for this episode. So I waited till it was over and watched the whole thing.
Okay.
I then turned it on to see, and when I heard, "Oh, New York!" or Brooklyn, I popped huge. And then I thought about it for a second. I was like, I'm sorry, what? What are they doing here? And sure enough, Kofi challenged Seth Rollins to a winner-take-all heavyweight title, universal title fight.
Yep.
To which Seth, of course, accepted. As we would find out later, sometimes things just are too good to be true.
Yep.
After that, top guys lose again to Hawkins and Ryder. I'm going to move right past that. Lars Sullivan appears during Kurt Angle's goodbye. Kurt Angle came out and fucked up Baron Corbin. I'm legitimately skipping that. I'm not talking about the top guys losing ever again. Baron Corbin came out to brag about kicking old Kurt out of the WWE. Kurt showed up. I thought he was going to announce, by the way, I'm Raw GM again. Not so. He came out, he fucking slammed, Olympic slammed, angle slammed, one might say, Baron Corbin. And then, all of a sudden, as they say in what's it called, in Super Smash Brothers, a new challenger appears. Lars Sullivan makes his debut after being teased on Raw and SmackDown for months. On end.
They said he wasn't going to come on
months
because of a
on
mental
end.
health issue.
There was stories that he had a nervous breakdown right before Raw when he was supposed to debut. Those have not been confirmed or denied, other than by Meltzer and the other dirt sheet writers. But he's there, and he kicked the living shit out of Kurt.
Wow.
I feel like he should have been the retirement match almost. He should have attacked Baron at Mania and come out, because if somebody needs a push and you want to give him a rub and someone's retiring, the person who's retiring loses and puts a young guy over.
Yep.
Who's newer than Lars Sullivan? It would have been his first match. He could have come out, and even if it wasn't his match, could have destroyed them both. Show that he's not a good guy. He's not even a regular bad guy. He's the baddest guy. He's the worst guy. He's going to fuck everybody up. He's going to fight your grandma for her toffee.
Yeah.
Like, he'll steal that butterscotch.
That's all gone.
That's all gone. So, yeah, I mean, that was crazy, too. What do you think of Lars? Scary beast, eh?
Big dude.
Big motherfucker.
Freaking.
Hairy motherfucker.
Hairy. Freakish.
Strange-shaped head.
Yes.
Freakish head.
Yes. With just like a straight,
Very odd.
Yeah, that was exactly the word I was gonna say. It was odd, and I was
Very
looking for a
odd.
different word.
You know where he would have worked? You know where he would have fit in perfectly back in the 90s? The Oddities. Remember the Oddities?
Yeah.
Luna Vachon and those freaks. The Blue Meanie was there.
Yeah.
So was
Steven
what's his name? That
Richardson?
big guy. No, Steven Richardson. I don't think was. He was an in shape, normal looking dude. Luna Vachon was a freak.
Yeah.
There was that big guy that always wore the Cartman shirt, and then there was the tall guy who looked like the Great Khali.
Oh man, I'm drawing a blank right
But
now.
yeah, those guys. He would have fit
Yeah.
in with them. He was a fucking freak show looking guy for sure.
Yeah, definite.
He'll do good. Alexa Bliss murdered Bayley. Let's just say that. She murdered Bayley. Bayley, for the second night in a row, looked like she was unconscious in the middle of the ring.
Oh jeez.
Alexa hit her with a DDT
Yeah.
after issuing an open challenge, to which apparently Sasha and Bayley were both supposed to be answering. But only Bayley did, because Sasha didn't show up.
Oh well.
And Alexa fucked her up. Gave her a murderous DDT.
Jeez.
Becky promo.
Okay.
Classy lady interrupted her.
Oh yeah. Oh, act like a lady.
Yeah. That
Yo,
did
Lacey
not...
Evans. Hold on.
Oh,
Lacey
yeah.
Evans. Listen, you are one bad bitch. I gotta tell
Hype.
you that. You are one bad.
Hype.
Like you are one. Sorry, or as you would say, you are one good woman.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
for her to walk down that ramp so many times, as many times as she has, and then
yeah.
decide to go for Becky 2 belts with the woman's right, I just like, she's not gonna. She's gonna. Oh my gosh, she did.
Yeah. And that didn't work out well for her on Monday. She got fucked up because she
tussled.
almost got put into the disarmor by Becky at the top of the stage.
Yeah.
Tuesday was a different matter.
She didn't have her heels on, did
She stood tall on Tuesday because she gave Becky the women's right, and Becky sold it like she was knocked unconscious for a minute.
Okay.
Like she was wobbly legs.
Okay.
So that's going to be a very interesting feud, I think.
Yeah,
I think
it
that's going
should
to be
be.
a very interesting feud.
I'd like to see it because you do have Becky, who is like the hooligan.
Becky's the man.
Becky's the man, but the man is a hooligan. You know what I mean? Like straight up.
Oh yeah.
He's like
She's a soccer hooligan.
Straight up.
She's an Irish girl.
Exactly. So
She's a firecracker, man.
hoodlum,
Irish,
yeah.
Irish girls are psycho. My mother is a lunatic.
Lovely woman, she lovely.
Lovely woman too, but
lovely. This guy goes.
But
we don't know if you listen, but if you are, I didn't say nothing.
She's not.
Okay.
I won't let her. Rude and Gable came out, showing off a little bit of a new attitude.
Yep.
They're full on board with the heel train. They're going to be heels, I think, which is better. Because god damn it, if Bobby Roode isn't a natural heel.
Okay.
I think it's weird because Chad Gable's kind of a
baby face. He's a baby. Like, I think that might be what turns him heel.
Baby face.
Are you sure that's not going to be what turns him heel? Like the fight between them?
Oh, I think that might be what turns. What's his name? I think that might be what turns Gable face again. Is the fact that he's such a good guy, and Rude has interrupted him, or not interrupted him, corrupted him. I had the wrong prefix. But yeah, so that was great. This one is sad. I'm finally sold on Dean Ambrose being gone. I think Dean Ambrose is gone. He took a vicious beating at the hands of Drew McIntyre for his final match, which ended up not being a match. He just ended up getting Arn Anderson spine bustered through the table. But there was a video that came out online after the cameras went off at Raw. Seth and Roman gave a fairly impassioned farewell speech to Dean. And then Dean also gave a farewell speech that was very, very convincing. So yeah, I think for the time being, I think Dean is actually gone. So thank you, Ambrose.
Thank you, Ambrose.
We love you. We hardly knew ye. Here's to seeing Jon Moxley on the Indies. Or maybe Jon Moxley just comes into WWE and Dean stays. Jon Moxley, for those of you who don't know, was his name on the Indies when he was in CZW and doing all the crazy extreme shit. Sami Zayn came out and had an Intercontinental title match with the man Finn Balor, regular Finn Balor. He lost. He did look like he had a little bit of ring rust, if I'm being honest. I love Sami, but it looked like he was slowed down a couple paces, unless that was intentional. And then Sami went heel on the crowd, said, "I can tell you all really missed me." And everyone cheered. And he said, "Well, I can honestly say that I did not miss any one of you." I was shocked that he came back as a heel. I thought for sure they were going to put him back to beautiful babyface Sami. Match of the year candidate Sami. But instead, he is evil Sami, which is fine by me because I love Sami Zayn. Then we had Elias come out, and Elias complained about being interrupted during his major star-making performance at WrestleMania. And he started disparaging the art form of rap and saying that rap is not really music.
Yeah.
And said that he can do it. So he tried to do it, and I'm going to be honest. Can we just say Elias has bars?
He's got bars.
Elias had bars. He didn't have flow.
He didn't have energy.
No, but that was intentional. But his bars were tight. Especially when he said that the next person who interrupts me is going to be a dead man.
And then Taker
that bell hit,
and
the look
right on
the look on our boy's face, the eyes just immediately popped open. He thought about leaving, and then he's like, "No, this is my star-making performance. I'm going to attack the Undertaker on Raw." And that was not a good move by our boy Elias.
No, Taker thumped him.
He big booted him to the fucking grill. He chokeslammed him, and to my surprise, holy fuck, did he ever pull off an amazing tombstone pile driver on a man of Elias' size. He lifted him up like it was nothing, and he put him down like it was nothing. I think Undertaker should go bald, though. That hair's not cutting it for me. Where it stops here.
Yeah, I thought it was a little far back.
He looks like the homeless guy from the old live action Dennis the Menace movie.
Oh no!
And that was a little hard to see. But other than that, he also went on. This is going to be my favorite sentence that I've ever said. The Undertaker went on the gram.
Yeah. Oh man!
The Undertaker went on the gram and posted a picture of himself backstage that said, "I decide when it's time." So, unretirement confirmed.
Yeah.
And he will be back for another match or 6, which I'm for now because he did very well in that little segment. And then
wait, hold on. Didn't I tell you he was ready for the ring though?
You did. He wasn't there on Sunday though.
He wasn't there on. I'll concede to that. But I told you he was ready for the ring.
You were right.
Though.
No, you were right. I was shocked when that hit. I said, "Holy fuck!" And I said, "Fucking the block, son of a bitch." You were right.
Yeah,
Absolutely, you were right. And then we had what was supposed to be Kofi versus Seth for both belts to get either Sethi or Kofi 2 belts.
Yep.
And the Bar ruined the fun. Surprisingly enough, as SmackDown stars, they showed up on Raw, ruined the fun, ruined an amazing match that was 4 minutes in, and it became a tag team match between the Bar and Kofi and Seth. Kofi and Seth were a great team. That was really cool to see them tag team together. I've never seen them in the ring at the same time, so that was awesome. But as we'll discover right now, the Bar was not done poking their nose in where it didn't belong. And during the Kofi Kingston Championship celebration, they came in and challenged the New Day to a 6-man tag team match. Now, for those counting at home, there are only 5 people combined in the New Day and the Bar. So the Bar had to bring out a friend that they met at Raw the night before, which was Drew McIntyre. A Raw guy showed up on SmackDown and was in a 6-man tag match. That was pretty crazy. Now, that match wouldn't happen until later, but that doesn't mean they're going to make us wait for a 6-man tag match, does it? Because they're going to give us Mustafa Ali, Ricochet and Black versus Andrade Cien Almas, Shinsuke, and my boy Ruru. Good match. It was a good match. It was quick, though.
Yeah.
And it was one of those matches where I felt like it was just a match to have a match. Like, I didn't feel like it furthered anyone's storylines or made anyone look stronger.
Okay.
But there was that cool moment where, I don't know if you caught this, there was a part where Aleister Black was doing his run up to the ropes as if he was going to jump out and then doing the backflip off the ropes and sit down. He went to do that, and while he did that, Mustafa Ali did his dive and roll into the ring, and so did Ricochet, and all 3 of them did basically Avengers Assemble in the middle of the ring.
Oh, man.
So that was cool. Everything else was very good. It was just, like I said, I don't think this had any real story implications or anything. I think this was just, we got to have a match. So they did it. Samoa Joe came out to talk shit, explain how he destroyed Rey Mysterio Jr., one of the greatest superstars of all time.
The greatest luchador of all time. The GOAT.
Yep. He defeated him in, minutes at WrestleMania. So he came out to brag about that. Said, who's next? Challenge all comers. Yada, yada, yada. And then we got another surprise. Braun came out.
Copyright that, bitches.
Yeah, suck it. We didn't even hit the pitch right. You can't copyright shit. Braun came in, attacked Joe. I think that is a fucking amazing feud in the making if they go with that. So yeah, I'm down with that. Next we had the Iconics being iconic and proving why they absolutely should be the women's tag champions. They came out and talked about how a lot of people, when they become champions, or when they win a title, talk about being fighting champions. And as the Iconics, they don't just... they screwed up the phrase, I assume intentionally, of we don't just walk the walk, we talk the talk, by saying, and we don't just walk. And then Peyton comes in with, no, we talk. And they fucked it up. But it was adorable and hilarious. Very happy with that. They then introduced their first opponents, who they said were the best talent in all of New York City in wrestling. They were 45-0. The Brooklyn Bells.
Oh my goodness.
2 independent jobbers from some local school came in. Billy and Peyton dismantled them immediately, obviously. The whole time Corey was selling it as if their titles were in jeopardy, and the other 2 commentators were calling him an asshole for it. And yeah, goes without saying, Iconics and still SmackDown Women's Champions. Shane came out and went ultra heel. Did you see this stuff with Shane attacking Greg?
No.
Shane was attacking... Poor Greg, the ring announcer for SmackDown.
Oh.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. His announcing is amazing. Shane just won't let the guy go. No matter how good he gives his intro, Shane grabs him by his tie and collar and chokes him and tells him, you gotta say it better. And this time he almost dragged him out of the arena making him say it.
Oh, wow.
Threatening his job and livelihood.
Okay.
Shane just went Super Saiyan on the heel spectrum. Like, he's blown up. He's on fire right now. Because I haven't seen somebody attack an announcer in a long time. Especially not the way he does it.
No.
But after that, we had yet another... This is the crazy part about SmackDown. SmackDown had surprise after surprise after surprise after surprise, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
The Usos, in their second title defense in 3 days, faced off against the Hardy Boys to figure out who is the best brothers, who is the best team in the WWE.
They've been trying to figure that out for years. This is the first time. Wasn't this the
first time they ever had a match?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was spectacular. They put on a clinic. It was tag team wrestling at its finest.
All right.
Matt Hardy hit a beautiful twist of fate. Then did the delete. The crowd went nuts.
Yeah.
Jeff hit a swanton bomb on, I believe, Jimmy Uso.
Okay.
I'm just going to say Jimmy Uso like I know. And became the fucking SmackDown Tag Team Champions. They have never been the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. No. Is one iteration of the WWE tag titles they've not won, and they did it. So that was beautiful. That was really interesting, really cool. I hope it sets up a feud with them. But then while they were celebrating their win, Lars Sullivan comes in again and dismantles the both of them. Just demolishes. No, just Matt and Jeff.
Oh, okay.
The Usos had left. Demolishes Matt and Jeff. So who is going to be the one? Who is going to be the one to stop Lars Sullivan? That's what I want to know. I want to know who's, and maybe not stop him, but who's going to be the first one to try?
Who's going to contend?
Who could contend? And I don't know. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, but I'm very interested to see where they go with it because I think Lars is very talented, very scary, and I think that's only good stuff. Hopefully he can keep it together. Hopefully he's not too stressed out. He's found a way to manage himself and everything. I hope that's going well for him. Second to last year, we're almost at the end of the week, which was a crazy fucking week for wrestling fans.
Oh my goodness,
Lacey Evans brings the women's right to the man. This one, Lacey hit Becky with a right hand out of nowhere. She showed up behind her when Becky was at the top of the stage, clocked her with a right, and Becky went a tumbling down the ramp back to the ring. Good stuff. Lacey showing that she's a bad motherfucker. She is kind of pulling the same thing that Ronda was pulling by saying a woman shouldn't call herself the man to make her seem strong. Like, she should be strong enough and confident enough to be called a woman. It's obviously missing the point of being the man. But Becky has addressed that on Twitter, so that's part of the feud, and I like it. When she challenged Sasha on Twitter, she then retweeted it again and said, see New Charlotte. That's what she's calling Lacey, New Charlotte. She says, see New Charlotte, if you want to get excitement for a fight, this is how you do it. Call your shot. And she was talking about her calling Sasha out. So that's very cool. I think Lacey's probably going to take that SmackDown tag team or that SmackDown Women's Championship off of her.
Really? At
some point. I don't think it'll be right away, but I think before the Fox deal, because they want exclusivity for their champs. I think Lacey will be SmackDown champion on women's, or SmackDown Women's champion.
You think they're gonna split, like, defend it individually, even though she has both of them?
Yeah. Oh okay. Yeah. That's the only way you get back to having two belts.
Okay.
And if they're still keeping with the brand split, which we know they are, because we're 2 days away from the Superstar Shakeup in Montreal, Quebec. Canada holding the first, or it's the first time Canada's holding the Superstar Shakeup, which I like.
Superstar Shakeup. I don't know how to say it in French.
Yeah, le Shakeup du Superstar.
En français.
But yeah, so that was very cool. And then finally, to end the night, we had that 6-man tag team match that got teased at the beginning. Drew and the Bar, which I was shocked that an Irishman like Sheamus decided to buddy up with a Scot like Drew, but whatever you got to do, I guess. That's why Sheamus is a heel. And they put on a great match. They had a really good match against the New Day. New Day stood tall, I want to say.
It doesn't sound too sure.
It's not. I don't remember. That's the one thing I forgot to write down on that part.
Okay, let me check that out. What? Okay, I was gonna. Yeah, we're just.
The New Day. New Day won. New Day beat Drew in the Bar.
Okay.
So that was cool. Seeing Drew on SmackDown makes me think the reason that he was brought there is he's going to be drafted to SmackDown on Tuesday, and I think he may be the first feud for our new champion Kofi Kingston.
Oh man, the photo on Lacey Evans giving the woman's right.
Right.
The photo is just so her face is just like cranked.
It's great.
Oh, it's good stuff. It is good stuff.
Wrestling is awesome. Wrestling is the best.
Wrestlers, wrestling fans, you guys rock.
We love you guys.
You know what I mean? You guys tuning into the show and hearing us go on and on. Thank you. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Thank you for coming
out for the first episode of the On Its Own Tough Talks with Teely and the Block.
You see it. All
right.
And
we're gonna do this. We're gonna be doing this more often. It's gonna be on its own, and we're gonna have some guests coming up. So get ready.
Yes.
And if you ain't down with that,
we got 2 words for you.
Goodbye.
I was gonna say bless.
Bless up.
Either way, it works.
Or goodbye and bless is 2 words because goodbye is 1 word.
It'll be 3 because we have and. Or goodbye, bless.
Yeah. Goodbye, bless. 2 words for you, baby.
All right. All right. Tune in next week at 3. No. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Next
Around there.
3. Around there.
We'll figure it out. This is all still new, so we're still working out all the kinks and figuring out what's going to be the most productive way to get it all done.
Exactly.
But yeah, y'all got us for now. Y'all got us for 5 hours every Saturday.
Yep. It's gonna be something.
Fuck yeah.
All right. We out.
Bless.